Hello and welcome to something that's a little bit different today. Today we're going to be spectating Netrunner games, and I'm going to try to give some commentary on what's going on, some predictions as to maybe what the players are trying to do, and just overall try to have a little fun watching some great Netrunner games. If you didn't know, Netrunner is the world's best card game. Fight me. I will never be swayed by this idea. The games we are spectating are going to be completely random. They're just games that you can find on jinteki.net. That's jinteki, jinteki.net. It's totally free to play. If you want to play Netrunner, you should give it a shot. Anyway, I've already joined the game here, so I'm going to swap off my face, and we'll just take a look at what's going on. So I am spectating a game. It looks like we have Adam versus HB, Stronger Together. Adam is easily my favorite runner, but let's take a look here. HB Stronger Together is a not often played ID, and I understand if you don't know anything about Netrunner, you're probably not going to understand any of the lingo. Probably not watching this if you don't understand anything about Netrunner. So we're going to be using a lot of internal lingo. Not going to give a tutorial on what any of this means. If you don't understand it, just Google it. Or ask people in the Jinteki chat, and they'll tell you what some of these random words I'm going to be saying mean. At any rate, we have Haas-Bioroid, all Bioroid ice get +1 strength. It's a very simple ID. It can be a very effective ID. It's interesting, though, because the plus strength on the Bioroid ice isn't affected by the ability to click through them. So even though Bioroid ice gets stronger, you can still click through them to the same effect. Kind of an interesting interaction with the ID. Looks like we have an asset spam Stronger Together ID, which I think is a little interesting. Most Haas-Bioroid Stronger Together IDs I see tend to go vertical, building pretty deep servers, but does not seem to be the case here. It seems to be sort of a horizontal type play. Of course, we need to take a look at Adam. What directives did he take? Good, he took the 3 winning directives and did not take always be running. Seems to have a fairly standard setup. This seems like fairly standard Adam. This is not the kind of Adam I enjoy playing. And hang on one moment. Sorry. Mouth is a bit dry. Okay. So this is fairly standard Adam. Standard Adam wants to run Earthrise Hotel, liberated accounts. Turning wheels pretty common for them. There's nothing crazy going on in this Adam deck right now. And the reason I say this is standard Adam is because Adam needs money, and he needs to do things on low influence, which is why liberated account is often a common include in Adam decks. Personally, I don't like using it. I prefer to make my money in weirder ways, but I'll try to be not biased against an Adam deck that plays differently than the way I enjoy. Corroder's a fairly standard breaker, only 2 influence, very, very strong breaker. The only other difference you would see here is a lot of Adams will go paperclip, but the reason you wouldn't want to go paperclip is because of the extra influence cost. Now, it seems like we have a back and forth. We're on turn. What turn are we in here? Looks like turn 5. So the game is a little ways in. We have a double advance on the ice in server 3. What else do we see going on here? Adam is locked and loaded and ready to go. On his next turn, he's going to draw 2 cards, and he's going to get. He has the option of taking a sure gamble money's worth from lib account. I'm not sure what's happening. Looks like they're undoing a turn. There was a problem. I'm really not certain what's going on. It seems that our court player is undoing all of his turn. I am a little confused. It seems like perhaps, let's see here. Use a card, let's play it, I don't know. Use, drag it back in your hand. Anyway. I think our runner was letting the corp take something back because he didn't use the red level clearance or something like that. At any rate, Adam's turn began. He drew the 2 cards from Earthrise, he got the money from Daily Cast, and he has the option of taking 4 from Lib accounts. And what that's going to give him is it's going to give him a decent chance of getting into the server, depending on what he has in his hand. He already has his Barrier Breaker, his Fractor, and typically Fractors are things, or rather berries are going to be the things keeping you out of a server. He makes a run on the completely free HQ, so he's going to see 2 cards, and, well, actually, he's going to see 3. He's going to access 2. He accesses Fairchild and Hedge Fund, and he sees an unknown card from the top of R&D. We don't get to see that. And the reason for that is because that's triggered off Find the Truth, which says when you make a successful run, you may look at the top card of R&D, not reveal. So the look is a player-specific trigger. So the whole table doesn't get to see that card. Okay, we have the double advance there, and now a triple advance on an SSL. Very nice. HB is very happy to get that. You're spending 5, you're getting 9 back, so a net of 4 plus the 3 points. Adam did not contest that server. I guess he's probably just decided to take the loss on the server. He doesn't want to crash into anything too powerful. He also didn't have any logic bombs, so he didn't have his get out of jail free card. He's also building up a lot of turning wheel counters, and in a sense has a soft lock on R&D. The reason for that is because every turn he's running HQ here, and he's seeing 2 cards from HQ, so he probably knows all the cards in HQ, or at least he has a fairly good idea of what's in HQ. He's also getting to see the top card of R&D every time he does this. Wow, we see a double res on... Whoa! 2 brain taping warehouses? This is a card that almost never gets used. The res cost of Bioroid Ice is lowered by 1 for each unspent click the runner has. That's okay, I guess. That's not amazing. See, essentially, Adam only had 1 unspent click anyway, so he spent 2 credits to lower the res cost of Fairchild by 2 credits. But you also have to consider he had to draw these 2 cards, so that's another 2 actions spent drawing. He also had to install both these 2 cards, so that's another 2 actions spent installing, and he had to spend another click installing the ice here. So you might think, oh, well, it's a net loss of 0. It's actually a net loss of at least -5. Brain Taping Warehouse is generally speaking not a great card, because it's so clunky to get to use, and the runner can just trash it if they want to for 4 credits. So, I mean, it's not depending on how this game goes, it could still be relevant that this guy has brain taping. I mean, if Adam doesn't have the money to trash it, which he doesn't really right now, he also doesn't really have the time to go trash it. Oh, and he wanted to save that click because he saw off the top of the... okay, so what happened is Adam ran, saw off the top of R&D, there was the EcoBug project, which requires a click to steal. So Adam had to run through Fairchild without using Logic Bomb, because if he uses Logic Bomb, he can't steal Ikawa project, because you have to spend a click to get Ikawa. And so he decided to let all of this stuff fire. Now, what I don't understand is... Let's see here. Yeah, okay, so the HB player did not make the right call there. He decided to let Fairchild fire. He made Adam pay 3, and then instead of ending the run, which HB really should have done, he did a brain damage to Adam, which is pointless because Adam now stole an agenda for 3 points. He already had brain chip installed, which means he's getting the extra 3 hand size. So he lowered Adam's hand size by 1, only to allow Adam to increase his hand size by 3. Definitely a bad call on the HB Stronger Together player's part. Stronger Together decides to re-ice R&D with a second piece of ice. That's questionable at best. Adam runs Archives, partially to see the face-down card, also probably partially so that if he runs into an asset in HQ, or anything with a trash cost, he isn't forced to trash it, because he wanted to keep his money. We see another install in this server, and a double advance again. Stronger Together has a bunch of money right now. Adam is still mercilessly pounding HQ. He's making money off of it too with his Dirty Laundry run. His double Logic Bomb. It's not looking great. for Stronger Together, unless this is an agenda, because this Adam seems really scared to contest things. Although with the double logic bomb, what Adam can do here is run this server on R&D. Sorry, not R&D. I don't know what I'm saying. He can run server 3 here with the logic bombs, and he knows that he can always get through. Even if he runs into 2 super scary pieces of ice, unless this Stronger Together player is running something crazy like a Nancy, which would punish Adam for not breaking the subs, which I sincerely doubt. Stronger Together would be running at all. Adam can get through the server. He decides not to contest it again. He might have suspected it could have been an Ikawa project, but he knows that this guy runs SSL. Yeah, I don't know. I think the Adam player really should have contested the server there. But okay, he does another dirty laundry on HQ. Stronger Together scores his SSL. He's going to be rolling in money. I don't agree with icing R&D with this piece of ice, though. He really should have iced HQ. Okay, so we see another run on R&D, but it's pointless because Adam already knows that's an agenda. Adam saw it. Now he has to make a choice. He's going to logic bomb it, so we have to assume it's not an Ikawa project. He logic bombs Heimdall 1.0. He runs into Fairchild 3.0. I assume he's going to logic bomb this. He doesn't have the money to break it with Ngolo. He Emergent Creativity and Ngolo out, which is nice. Ngolo's pretty strong. I think it's restricted these days. In case anyone needed to know, I think we're on most wanted list 3.4B right now. Yeah, so he freed him through equality'd a CFC excavation contract, which means he gets an extra point from that. He's on game point up to 6. He steals anything at this point and he wins. CFC excavation contract is definitely also not a typical agenda, so this Haas-Bioroid player is just having fun, which is great. I love to see that, especially on Jinteki.net, where you meet a lot of brutal players. When you score a CFC excavation contract, you gain 2 credits for each res Bioroid, which is interesting. It sort of recoups a little bit of the money you lose advancing the agenda. Still have those 2 brain taping warehouses. HP is definitely doing a good job of having money. Problem is that it really just doesn't matter. It took him too long to set up. He made a couple bad choices. He's going to get the 6 credits from SSL, and he's also technically on game point. But I can't stress enough how much this is Adam's game to lose, for a lot of reasons. First off, Adam has a fully loaded turning wheel counter. Basically, anytime he wants, Adam can hit like 5 cards off of R&D. Now, we did see the score, obviously, from the server, so you might think that the Corp has a chance, but realistically, Adam probably can just... Wait, what am I saying? Adam's dead poor. And he used his 2 logic bombs to break into R&D. I'm completely wrong. Please ignore everything I just said. This is not Adam's game to lose. This is actually kind of up to both players at this point. Adam doesn't have a steady source of income. He's already used 2 lib accounts, like 2 dirty laundries. He's going to stim hack. Okay, he's going to stim hack R&D, which is interesting. I think he's probably going for his... Gosh darn it, I really need to turn off my friends. That sounds funny. Turning off your friends. How do you make yourself go offline? There we go. Alright, now we won't have any pop-ups. Anyway, yeah, so Adam's going in here with a stim hack, which I didn't see coming. Just a pretty good move. Stim hack is usually pretty decent in Adam because his hand size increases. You really don't care about the hand size reduction as long as you get a bit of agendas. Oh, and of course, so he stim hacked into R&D. Did he know there was an agenda there? Hang on. Spins, okay. Turn began. Yeah, okay, I'm sorry. He made a run on archive. So what happened is Adam ran on archive, saw the agenda on R&D, and saw the Ikawa. And at that point, he just needed to figure out whether he had enough money from StimHack to get into the server. It looks like he had exactly enough money to get into the server. He was able to jump in. He stole the Ikawa by paying 2 credits and a click, and that's game. All right, we'll go ahead and jump into another one here. Yes, this is partially I love doing this because it makes me, it forces me to become better at analyzing Netrunner. As you saw there, I was like, oh, this is Adam's game to lose. Well, totally passed my mind that, of course, he didn't have any money. Okay, what are we looking at here? Game number 2, we have Polana Foods versus Val. Haven't seen Val in a while. So Val gets the bad publicity right when the game starts. Polana Food gains a credit every time the runner draws a card. We see the Lacosta grid. That's going to allow Polana to put a counter on a card in the server when their turn begins. I don't know what this deck Valencia is running. I've not seen anything like this. I literally have no clue what this is. We're seeing some weird breakers, like Gordian Blade out of Anarch seems odd, and then an R&D interface, which is also kind of weird. Lib account is also pretty standard. A mining accident is pretty standard, but then the hive mind on a progenitor. I think Polana just scores out here. Yeah, this game is over. All right, we saw a super weird deck from a Val. What turn was that? Turn 9? Yeah, who knows what the heck that game was. That was a super weird one. Let's see if we can get, hopefully we can get more into the beginning of the game. Good. Okay, this game just started. So we see Leela Krim versus Replicating Perfection. Man, I love this. We're seeing all sorts of ideas today. So Replicating Perfection is the runner cannot run on remote servers unless they've made a run on a central server. Now keep in mind that's made a run. That means that they don't have to succeed in the run, they just have to have made a run. Obviously irrelevant at the time being because there are no remote servers. Okay, here's Slot Machine. Very annoying piece of ice. We're going to play the reveal game, and then it gains subroutines based on the number of things revealed. Trying to read, see what happened here. I don't... Resolves 3 unbroken subroutines? I don't know if they did that right. No, they did. Because there was... Okay, so... Sorry, I need to see what was revealed here. Bravado, Maw... We had event, hardware, and resource, so the runner just lost 3 credits and then got into HQ. Runner has no money. Leela throws down gang signs so that she can access HQ whenever she wants. She's going to Bravado... Oh, that's very smart. She's going to Bravado HQ against Slot Machine with no money, so she can't lose money. We see a resource hardware program, so literally the subroutine fires, the runner loses 3 credits, but she loses nothing. So that ice did nothing. She bravadoed it, which means she's going to gain back 7 credits when she gets to the end here. I don't know why. Oh, okay, this guy just wanted to res all his stuff before the turn began so that his triggers were taken care of. Oh, he also wanted to res all these things because it prevent... Okay, so he knew... Okay, so... sorry, know a lot of things happening here. RP, Replicating Perfection, knew that Leela was going to hit an agenda. Because of that, he rezzed all his assets to prevent Leela from bouncing any of them back into his hand. When Leela accessed the agenda, her ID ability triggers, and she bounced the R&D ice back into Replicating Perfection's hand. Not really that big of a deal, though, because Replicating Perfection got what they wanted out of it, which was all of their rezzed assets. They rezzed Rashida's, drawing 3 cards, gaining 3 credits, also having free reses on things due to the Mamba Temple, drawing another card due to daily business shown, bottoming one of the cards. Now they are installing 3 cards. They installed another ice on R&D. They installed a Mamba Temple, which they rezzed for free using the credits from Mamba Temple, in addition to also rezzing a Sundew, which is disgusting. Also rezzed the Sundew for free because of the credits from the other resed Mamba Temple. Now, Sundew is going to gain Replicating Perfection 2 credits a turn unless the runner spends their first click running this server. However, against Replicating Perfection, that's not possible. So instead, Leela decides to do an embezzle run on HQ, naming assets. She reveals Project Yagi Uda and Anansi, so she doesn't get any money from that. Subroutine on Slot Machine fires again. We reveal Program Hardware Event. She's getting super lucky. The Corp is gaining very little money from this. She gets very lucky and gets the... she had a 50-50 to run into HQ and get the agenda. However, she is running Maw, so if she didn't get the agenda, HQ would have had to force a trash from their hand to begin with. She gets the agenda, Yagi Uda, bounces the R&D ice, runs R&D, doesn't access anything that's an agenda, forces a trash from HQ due to Maw, goes back to Replicating Perfection, then double ices R&D to keep her out of R&D because HQ at this point is kind of a liability because of Gang Sign and Maw. And this is pretty disgusting because what happens is Gang Sign, when the Corp scores an agenda, will access a card from HQ from Replicating Perfection and trigger Maw. Maw will trash a card from HQ if the runner accesses a card not in archives and does not steal or trash it. So it's a pretty disgusting strategy from Leela. This is sometimes called not runner, although this Leela is forcing a lot of actions on the part of the Corp because she is at least making runs. Now she makes a run here. She bounces into IP block, which gives her a tag and ends the run. She has no money. She's stuck with this tag. If I was Replicating Perfection, I would take this opportunity to trash Gang Sign for 2 credits. Replicating Perfection definitely has the money to do it. Yeah, and there goes the Gang Sign, which was able to be trashed because Leela is tagged. Now, Replicating Perfection has all the money in the world right now. They're getting 4 credits from both of these Sundews. Their reses on ice is practically free due to the 2 Mamba Temples. This is not looking good for Leela. Leela has no money. She lost her Gang Sign. She can't get into HQ anymore. Yeah, just in general, this is not looking good for Leela. Even though she has 4 points, I don't think she's going to be able to win this. We see a political dealings res by Replicating Perfection. That's an interesting form of fast advance where when you draw an agenda, you can reveal it. So the dream, right, is that you draw an agenda on your mandatory draw. That's a 3-2. You install it and immediately score it. It's also difficult to trash because you're Replicating Perfection. The runner has to make a run on a central and then come over here and pay 3 credits to trash it. We see 2 mystery cards installed. Leela's going to make an odd run on archives. I don't know what she expects to happen here. She's not forcing the Corp to spend any money because these 2 Mamba Temples are getting 2 recurring credits that you can use to just res anything. So she basically gave Replicating Perfection here a free res and free fire on Crick, which allows you to install a card from archives and paying its install cost. It looks like RP decided to install Rashida, so he's going to get another 3 clicks worth of draw and 3 clicks worth of credits. 3 credits and 3 draw. I don't know why I said it like that. Leela tries to run a server. No, why? No, she knows that's Rashida. She's not paying attention to what the Corp is doing. Oh, okay. She wanted to trash it. But there's another Rashida. That's funny. Yeah. There's really no reason Leela should have ran over there to trash the Rashida. But it's salt in the wound that RP had a second Rashida ready to go. And they even, just to add more to the burn, resed their political dealings for free before their turn began. So they have full credits still on the Mamba Temples. Yeah, at this point, Leela can be pretty disgusting. She's a pretty disgusting runner. But even at this point, she can't combat what's happening here. Partially, though, I think it's due to the fact that Leela wasn't making the best choices. It's also possible she ran archives so that she could get access into the server. She ran this because she had to fulfill the mandatory run condition, and she wanted to check the servers. But even then, I think you just run into the IP block and take the tag. She has no resources at this point. Oh, and that's an Anansi. She's probably dead. I mean, she's not dead. She has enough cards, but like, she's gonna take 4 net damage worth of 4 cards worth of net damage here because of Anansi not being broken at all. Also, Corp is gonna get to just reorganize the top of R&D more or less exactly how they want. Also, interesting interaction is that drawing a card off of Anansi triggers Daily Business Show. Can we redo? Oh, okay, the Corp is saying, can we redo? They might have accidentally goofed because they forgot about their Daily Business Show fire. And so they probably drew... Yeah, what he's saying here is that when he looked at the top 5 cards, he probably forgot that he was going to have to draw 2 of them due to Daily Business Show, and then he would have to bottom 1 of them. So he screwed it up. He drew too many cards. Now he's going to fix this. He probably wants to put a card... He probably wants to put an agenda as the 3rd card. That way, when he draws it, he can immediately reveal it with political dealings and score it. In fact, I forgot to comment on it, but that's what he did with this project, Yagi Uda, is that he drew it, I believe, with a Rashida, revealed it, installed it, and immediately just scored it out. Political dealings is not a fast advance option you see very commonly out of Jinteki, partially because it's expensive to res and only 3 to trash for the cost that you're investing in it. But in this situation, it can be good in replicating perfection, where you're resing things for free. It really doesn't matter that it costs 4, because it costs you nothing to res anyway. Leela's getting a little desperate here. She's kind of just running around, trying to force the Corp to trash things. She's running through Crick, which is going to allow... Yeah, it's going to allow Crick to fire. Why I don't agree with this is because... she ran on last click. So the idea is you wouldn't want to run this last click, because the Corp can use Crick's ability to install a card from archives to install an agenda that she would have stolen from archives into a new server. So you want to do that with at least 2 clicks, so that way if you see the Corp install a mystery face down card from archives using Crick's ability, then you can immediately run it, guessing that perhaps it's an agenda. She didn't give herself that option. We see another Daily Business Show fire. And yeah, not surprisingly, Leela here concedes, because the game at this point is very much out of his control. Leela had a chance to win this if this guy runs any 3-pointers, but even then it's just not very likely, because every time he runs, he can't run R&D because he can't break an Anansi. I think his only hope of winning... Yeah, I don't know. It's rough. His only hope of winning is somehow to trigger Maw's ability, but he can't trigger it on archives. Runs on archives don't trigger Maw, and he lost that gang sign. I don't know. It was rough. This might be the first time the Leela player was encountering something like this. So, in general, it just might have been difficult for them to sort of respond to. I certainly feel like even if I was playing, let me up front be very clear. I am not a master Netrunner player. So any commentary that I make is probably, I don't mean it to be taken as the sage's wisdom. So if I comment on someone's play and say they didn't make a good play here, or they could have done better, I'm absolutely not trying to make fun of them, and I'm absolutely not trying to say that anyone who makes a mistake in Netrunner is dumb, because I make constant mistakes. So anyway, So when I say Leela wasn't playing well, it's okay. I'm that's not meant to be an insult against the person playing. It's literally just an observation. But yeah, I don't think. But anyway, what I was getting at is even if I was playing against this replicating perfection deck, I would not have a ton of answers to what they were doing. Asset spam is pretty tough to play against if you're not ready for it. And replicating perfection just makes things more difficult. Especially those 2 Mamba Temples. I think you have to trash the Mamba Temples. The problem is making enough money to trash those Mamba Temples on top of everything else. Oh, and we're going to get a rematch here. Okay. I guess we'll watch. Yeah, we'll watch this matchup again. So Leela apparently stole a Nisei, which is good. Great for Leela. And she's being really aggressive here before Polana has a chance to set up. Oh, we see a very nasty Koma Ino rezzed on Archives. That's going to wipe all of Leela's cards out of her hand. She's still more or less safe to continue this run if you think that this Jinteki doesn't run Breach Dome, because Polana is underneath the credit threshold for Firing Snare. She accesses an NG out front, goes ahead and trashes it. That makes sense. So now that that's an interesting res on Archives. It does slow the runner down, but it also is going to slow Polana down because Polana now has not very much money. I believe they just triple clicked and the runner triple drew. So we're kind of at a reset board state. So I guess that's good for Polana. Because Polana now has a res piece of ice and the game kind of continues back where it left off on the last turn. It's a pretty rough early turn, or pretty rough early opening for Leela in that the install on the remote with ice with something behind that server. You have no idea what that is. You have to run through a central server and run through this server just to get there. She doesn't contest it. Decided to drop down 2 pad taps. It ended up being a Rashida anyway, so it probably wouldn't be worth it that much to try and trash it. Setting up with the pad taps is definitely a good idea. She's getting the 2 credits off of the Rashida trigger. And oh my goodness, guys. Every time Polana's ability triggers when Leela draws a card, it's also going to trigger pad tap. Which means that Leela basically has click to draw a card and gain 2 credits once per turn. Instead, she Fisk Seminars it, which is also completely acceptable. Fisk Seminar is going to gum up Polana's hand, forcing them to make a decision. Do I trash 3 cards from HQ in order to score whatever this is, or do I try to install these cards? It's a tough decision either way. Ooh, and there's the gang sign. This is a very different game. Leela's playing this. Either she's playing this better or is just getting the card she needs. Either way, it's a much more even game. In fact, this is seeming a little Leela side favored right now because of these pad taps. Those pad taps are rough against Polana. So, I mean, I'm sure you understand it, but maybe for those few who are only halfway listening, the reason this works is because pad tap gains credits for the runner anytime the corp gains a credit through a card ability each turn. Now, as I'm sure you know, each turn, that means the runner's turn, the corp's turn, the runner's turn, the corp's turn. Normally, the corp only gains money on their own turn, but because Polana's ability fires on the runner's turn, Leela has a reliable way of firing it on both turns. Essentially, pad tap is making her 4 credits a turn for 2 cards with 0 install cost, and that's gonna be active the entire game. So it's pretty nuts. She's gonna go ahead and run do an Archives run after installing Bugalter. So she's gonna be able to break Koma Inu dirt cheap, and she's gonna be able to gain 2 credits back by breaking with Bugalter. Now, I'm a little worried that she ran HQ with only 2 cards in hand when the corp had 13 credits. Maybe she's reading that Polana isn't running Snare. Against Jinteki, you always got to assume they're running Snare. It's almost not even an option. Leela's got her chokehold position going on here now, though. Seems pretty likely Leela's going to win this, especially with the Maw. The Maw just makes everything terrible. Polana goes ahead and installs and double advances. The problem is that Leela's just going to keep doing the same thing, right? She has the option to sneak door beta into HQ for very cheap due to Bugalter. She's also going to be able to force the corp to trash a card from HQ if she doesn't. Yeah, and she's doing exactly that. She's going in, doing sneak door into HQ through archives, breaking archives ice very cheap. She does have the correct amount of cards in hand this time. Gains 2 credits back, so she gets an HQ for 2 credits. Now she accesses Chrysium Grid. She doesn't really care about that right now. She accesses Lethea Nisei, which is the Caprice Nisei replacement, as well as she maws a card, and getting a turning wheel counter. She interestingly mawed the Lethea Nisei. She doesn't get a choice, obviously, that's random. Polana's getting a little desperate, goes for the double advance, and then the score on Project Nisei, which is super neat. It means that even though Polana's probably still not in a great place for this game, they're still in it. They still have a chance. And smartly, they left themselves with 1 click to respond to whatever Leela bounced. Now, Leela bounced an ice on R&D. The thing is, though, is that Polana still has a Chrysium Grid. Now, that Chrysium Grid is going to cost, I think it's 4 to res. Chrysium Grid, the reason this is important is because what Leela wants to do is bounce enough ice so that HQ is open, and then run things like diversion of funds here. Like, she'll probably do diversion of funds or embezzle or anything like that. Anything that can trash things from the corp's hand and get her money, or just steal money outright from the corp. I don't know if I agree with this. Polana decided to ice archives instead of HQ. I don't know. Because now Leela's just going to run through HQ. I shouldn't say I don't agree with it. I will just say that it's an interesting choice. Like, you already have a res piece of ice on archives. I don't know. It's I guess the real truth of the matter is Polana doesn't have amazing choices to make right now. He's kind of playing behind. And he has to because of Leela's board state. The real issue is that Leela, or that Polana doesn't really have a ton of money right now. If they res 1 or 2 pieces of ice, they'll probably be broke. Or pretty close to it. They installed a mystery card in server 1. We don't know what that is yet, though. And Polana has plenty of money. It's interesting. Leela is not applying pressure here. She's just clicking up. She's just putting money on Kadi. If I had to guess, I'd say that Leela is biding her time. She wants Polana to score an agenda. She wants Polana to score an agenda. She doesn't want to run these servers because that will give the corp a chance to res ice, which in turn will prevent Leela's ability from bouncing them. Leela's probably just sitting here waiting for the corp to score an agenda so that she can bounce ice on HQ and then run HQ and force the corp to lose things. She's going to bravado R&D. The corp has to make a decision. Do they res ice on R&D, potentially limiting the number of other things they can res? It's a tough choice. Because see, you're like, oh, I'm the corp, I've got ice, I should res this stuff. But now Leela can just break through this. In fact, if she wanted to, she could just trash Abigail to get through it for free. She's not going to. She's going to spend the money to break it, and then going to continue. Probably hedging her bets, betting that the corp won't res this. Interesting, the corp did res this. Mostly because it's an I-key, though. It's very cheap. It's only 1 credit to res. Leela's probably okay with getting through this. Oh no, she's going to break it. She's paying the subs to break it. Playing the side game. Side game will let her draw 2 cards if she chooses to. Oh, but she can't break. She can't play a side game because she has 0 credits. Because she's going to hit R&D. The point of this was not to hit R&D. The point of this, the reason Leela did this was twofold. One is she's recouping a lot of her losses because of the Bravado run. Bravado is now going to get her 8 credits. So she essentially gains 5 credits because Bravado obviously costs 3. She spent about like, what, 10 credits to break in? So she essentially spent 5 credits to get an access on R&D and forced the corp to spend 7 credits. So she installs another gang sign. It is a Rashida, interestingly enough, in that server. But again, this is all going to Leela's plan. Leela doesn't care that much about ICE on R&D. What she wants is HQ. She's grooming the corp to spend money here on R&D and not resing the cards on HQ. Because again, all Leela wants to happen right now is Leela wants the corp to score an agenda. That's when she's going to strike. She's just biding her time, forcing the corp to spend resources in places where it's not important to her that they spend resources there, and she's using bravado to offset her losses. We have 3 gang signs up. The moment the corp scores an agenda, Leela's going to access our HQ 3 times. She's also going to trash a card from HQ if it's not an agenda and she doesn't trash it due to Maw. And here it is. Here's where the cascade happens. The floodgates are open. The corp scored an agenda. Now Leela's going to access HQ. She accesses Fairchild. Maw forces a trash. She accesses another card. Gene Splicer trashes that. She accesses a 3rd card, Thimble Rig. Okay, so now she knows what quite a few of the cards are in HQ, and she bounces the ice on archives back into the hand of Polana. And I think the reason she can do this, or the reason she wants to do this, is because she knows she can still sneak door beta into HQ for 2 credits. Or, for 2 credits. Because she's going to spend 4 to break with Bugalter and then get 2 credits back. She's going right into HQ, partially to see if she can get a lucky agenda. Also because if she accesses a card, but doesn't steal or trash it, she forces the corp to trash a card. Okay, so we have another mystery trash here. She accesses Chrysium. Yeah, she's not trashing Chrysium because it's kind of like a game of chicken. What it is you don't want to trash Chrysium early because then you've paid 5 credits to trash something that the corp didn't spend any money resing. You want to force them to res Chrysium. Like, Leela doesn't want the Chrysium there, but she's also not going to fight it. She's also going to apparently make an honest run on archives, spending 4 credits and not getting the 2 credits back from Bugalter. So she lost 6 credits this turn because she's hoping there's something on archives that's an agenda. The fact that Polana ended the run there tells us there is an agenda in archives. What happened there is Polana ended the run with the Nisei token. Polana basically has 1 turn left to win this game. I don't think they can do it. They'd have to somehow, I don't know. They'd have to super ice archives. But the problem is, so here's what's going to happen. Polana's super iced archives and has a decent amount of money, but Leela can just run this, force some reses, and then run through HQ, and Polana probably won't have the money to handle it. So she's going in for the run on archives, the honest run on archives. No sneak door beta-ing going on. Now, what would be hilarious is if this was a ruse. It would be the funniest thing in the world if Polana ended the run on archives to bait Leela into trying to get in there so many times. I don't think it matters, though. I think at this point, it's, 6 credits to break Fairchild 3 with Abigail? Abigail is 2 strength, so you need to spend 7 credits. 7 credits to break Fairchild 3 with Abigail. We'll see what they do. For some reason, the corp said sorry. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay, so he goes ahead and pays the 7 to break through Fairchild. Now he's going to encounter Koma Inu, and he's going to spend 4 and 2 credits to break through. Or he's going to spend 4 credits getting 2 credits back. So unless the corp has some kind of fancy trick here, he wants to check run structure. Okay, so there must be some weird timing window that he's looking into. It's possible that the upgrade on archives is a Marcus baddie. If it is, that's hilarious. Because what he can do is... Well, it's not that hilarious, because there aren't that many threatening subroutines on any of these pieces of ice. What makes these two pieces of ice threatening are all of their subroutines put together. But the best he could hope to do... Okay, for the time being, let's assume there is an agenda in archives. There's 5 face downs. He spent the Nisei token to stop the archives run. He's giving off all the signs that there is an agenda in archives. Now, again, this would be hilarious if this was the biggest ruse in history. Well, not the biggest ruse in history, but this would be hilarious if this was a huge ruse. And the Polana was playing as if there was an agenda in archives, forcing Leela to spend all these resources and time trying to get in there, only to get nothing. I don't think that's the case. I think it's a pretty good chance that Leela is gunning for an agenda. We do see the res of the code replicator. Oh, very nice. Okay, this is very nice. This is much better than a Marcus baddie, because what's going to happen is he's going to trash the code replicator, forcing the runner to hit another piece of ice again. Now, I'm a little confused as to why he didn't... I mean, I don't know. I think you would make them encounter the Fairchild again. Instead, he used code replicator to force the runner into running into Koma Inu twice. So he breaks it the first time and then doesn't break it the second time. I think because he doesn't have enough money. Oh, it's because there's an Obokata protocol in archives. I see. Okay, so what happened there is the Corp, realizing that Leela didn't have enough money to break Koma Inu twice, instead forced Leela to hit the Koma Inu, losing all the cards in her hand. And the Obokata protocol, of course, costs 4 net damage to steal. And so now she was just completely unable to steal it. But, like I said earlier, Leela was forcing the reses on these pieces of ice because now what she wants to do is run HQ. Unfortunately for Leela, I think she's dead. I think she's dead. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so what... she ran HQ hoping, you know, that there would be like big meaty ice on HQ that now Polana wouldn't have the money to res. Funnily enough, it was just an Ike. Just a simple Ike, a 1-credit Ike. Leela could have seen this coming because there was already an Ike in play. And of course, as you know, Ike, you play a side game to draw cards. But Leela doesn't have any money, so she can't play a side game. All the Corp has to do is bet 0. The net damage from Ike fires, and Leela dies. That's hilarious. That was a combination of good, quick thinking on the part of Polana to protect Obokata by making Leela run into Koma Inu again. And a misplay on Leela's part. Leela shouldn't have ran here, seeing the Ike in play, knowing that was a possibility, and having no money to play a side game. She also wasn't really under any pressure right now, although she probably felt pressured to keep forcing the Corp to spend money, because it was going to be a little rough at this point for her to win the game. Simply because with all this rezzed ice here and here, she can't mess with the Corp anymore to make them lose money. I still don't think she needed to feel pressure to run this. This card in the server isn't an agenda. We saw an agenda installed in here with it, so we know it's like an upgrade or something. And at this point, I think all Leela wants to do is draw up to 4 cards. Well, no, that's actually pretty tough, because it's going to take her 2 turns to get into archives. So it's definitely the safer play, but it gives the Corp 2 full turns. So what Leela could have done, she could have drawn up to 4. Every time she draws, she triggers Polana's abilities, so she's getting 2 credits. So what she could have done is draw, take a credit, Then on the next turn, draw again. So she's got 5 credits because she's triggered her pad taps 2 times. She runs this server here. She bypasses with Abigail, breaks with Bugalter, and just steals the Obokata. So she could have won this in 2 turns, assuming that Polana didn't ice this server. But I don't think Polana can really afford it. And even if they could, it means that Polana's gaining money from like some other card ability, which is also going to fire Leela's pad taps. Yeah, I think Leela should have. What makes this even sadder is she had the perfect counter. She had 1 credit. Tycoon. Wait, no. What am I saying? Tycoon is not. I thought Tycoon was Abigail, or not Abigail. What's the other one? Amina. For a while, or for a moment there. Never mind. Ignore that. She couldn't use Tycoon, but still. Yeah. But still a fun game to watch. We're gonna watch one more game here. Oh yes, another Adam game. Another Adam game. I can't get enough of Adam games. Okay, so we have Adam. It's a pretty rough matchup. Adam has a really hard time against NBN because early on he doesn't have a lot of money, and it's hard for him to shake the tags. We're seeing Asmari EdTech. Asmari is a notorious NBN ID that is going to just run away with money. He's laughing because apparently he runs 3 scarcity and didn't draw turn 1. That's what Asmari wants to do. Asmari wants to draw scarcity, play it turn 1, and then name something like event or program or something. Because what Asmari's ability is they name a card type, and then if the runner plays a card of that type, then they get paid for it. So Asmari wants to restrict resources that the runner can play by using scarcity of resources and then name a different type, so usually event. So what Asmari does is they punish the runner for playing resources or events. Luckily, very luckily for Adam, Asmari didn't draw any of their 3 of resources, scarcity of resources. That's what the corp there was joking around with, saying he had bad luck. And so we have a double install and 2 naked remotes plus turn earlier Rizeki from Adam and an RNG key. Now again, I play Adam a lot, so I know the pressure that Adam is under right now. He has to very, very carefully play around hard-hitting news, and early hard-hitting news against Adam is basically a death sentence. And that's why he spent the last turn here literally doing nothing but clicking up credits. You might look at his board state and say, oh, why not run R&D? Why not try to fire the RNG key? Why not do something, interesting? Why not run these naked remotes? He can't afford to get hit by a hard-hitting news. So he clicks up, he gets the money to install a liberated account. This is very good. This is very smart from the Adam player. He's moneying up, which is unfortunately what you have to do against hard-hitting news early as Adam. Adam just can't afford to get hit. Now, unfortunately, that does give a lot of tempo over to the Corp side of the game, which we see a score of Bologna, which is going to give the Corp all the money they spent advancing Bologna back. It's a very fun ID. I like this ID. Costs the runner 5 credits to score, gives the Corp 5 credits back. It's a very good, but yet more or less fair balance card. It protects itself a little bit. It gives back a little bit of tempo. Yeah, it's neat. Anyway, Adam takes this opportunity to go ahead and run HQ. He runs into an IP block. He fights the trace, it looks like. Yeah, it looks like he fights the trace by paying it out. He accesses NGO front, which he has to steal, and hard-hitting news. Oh, buddy, what are you doing? What are you doing? Okay, so he sees an agenda on top of R&D. He runs for it. Wait, was it a fake? Did he fake out an agenda? But then he double liberated to gain... Oh, I think he just did it for the RNG trigger. Oh, okay, that's what he did. He ran HQ, then he ran R&D for the RNG trigger. He got some money, and then he double-clicked liberated to make sure he couldn't get hard-hitting news. He knows NBN has hard-hitting news, but right now he's in a position to fight it. He has enough money that if Asmari tries to hard-hitting news him, it's going to be too painful for Asmari money-wise. because he can just let the tags flow through and then just remove them on the next turn if Osmari boosts the trace to something ridiculous. Yeah, my apologies. I didn't realize he was running RNG for the trigger. I thought he was running. Well, I guess even if there was an agenda there, he could have still fired RNG key. And he had 2 clicks left to hit the Liberated. Yeah, I'm dumb. He knew what he was doing. Okay, so we see a new server with 2 pieces of ice and an asset installed. Adam's gonna go ahead and check the the naked server. What are we gonna see? We see an echo chamber. It's a little rough because Adam's forced to trash it, but it only costs 1 credit to trash, so never mind. That's not rough at all. Always forget the res cost is way more expensive than the trash cost on that. Actually, that's a wonderful run for Adam. So Adam prevents, the possibility of echo chamber firing off and winning the game at the end. See a 3rd piece of ice on this server. Asmari is hell-bent on protecting it. But the reason for that is because Adam has these 2 logic bombs, and that creates an incredible amount of pressure on the corp. In fact, overall, Adam is more or less getting a chokehold on this game. He doesn't quite have a full chokehold yet, but he doesn't even need to use his logic bombs to threaten the corp into wasting another click, 2 credits, and a piece of ice protecting this server. Because if he doesn't, Adam can just logic bomb his way through it. That's a huge tell, though. Huge tell that this is an agenda. By installing that 3rd piece of ice there, it's a huge tell that it's an agenda. In fact, if I was the runner, or if I was the corp, I probably wouldn't have installed that ice. But I mean, I don't know. I can't even say that because you have to force the runner to spend something. So even this could be a ruse. I mean, he could have installed double advance in NGO front. Yeah, never mind. I shouldn't make snap judgments like that because we don't know what these cards are. And forcing Adam to use his logic bombs is not a bad idea. Okay, so we see the run here. We see a stim hack into the remote with a News Hound. News Hound looks like it was broken, probably by... no, not broken by anything, because News Hound does not have an end the run because there's no current in play. Hits the slot machine. Slot machine gains corp 3 credits and loses runner 3 credits, not a big deal. Another slot machine fires. I didn't quite see what happened with that one. And then he hits an SSL endorsement. It is at least going to make Osmari some money. But the problem is Adam just has too much money right now. And he wasn't pressured to use either of his logic bombs to run the server. Now, this is kind of funny. Osmari goes ahead and puts the daily quest in here, which is going to make them 3 credits a turn, which is awesome. But it's funny that they put it in their super remote. Oftentimes you'll see runner or corpse putting daily quest in a single remote with a single piece of ice. But he's putting it in his super server, which means it means he needs the money. It means he feels pressured right now to take the money option because he knows Adam will just trash it if he installs it in a new server. And what's going to happen is when he gets an agenda and he wants to score it, he's going to overwrite daily quest. Adam makes a run on HQ. Pace through the trace on IP block. Guesses 0 on emergent creativity. Accesses hard-hitting news and hard-hitting news. So he knows Asmari has double hard-hitting news. He also saw the top card of R&D. It must not be anything useful because he doesn't want it. He emergent creativity's brain cage and brain chip in order to install Begalter. Oh, maybe he did see something on R&D because now he's making the final run on R&D. There's no res. It's probably an agenda, you would assume. Yeah, another SSL. This is surprising. I've never seen an Osmari struggle so much to make money. It's probably partially because we don't really see any money cards in the bin. We see the 2 SSLs, which of course is making the corp money back, but that comes at the cost of the runner as having stolen both of them. Yeah, just overall Asmari's struggling a lot with money. And so Asmari isn't able to leverage their biggest threat, which is hard-hitting news. He draws a card, click 1. And we'll see. I don't know. I feel like maybe you want to ice R&D and HQ and just play a little safe here. He needs to be able to threaten the hard-hitting news, and he needs to make Adam spend money. The problem is those 2 logic bombs. And this is exactly what the Adam player should be doing. This is what I've done when I play Adam. You just want to hold those logic bombs as long as possible, because the threat of them being on the table is almost more dangerous than actually using them. Because they're so flexible. You can just bypass whenever you need to. It's so frustrating as the corp, because it basically means this 4 ice deep server is only a 2 ice deep server whenever Adam wants it to be. Adam installs Earthrise to get the draw. Doesn't do anything super important on his turn. Because of the brain chip, he's got plenty of hand size, plenty of MU. Oh, the corp is saying it's a pain because so technically when Adam draws a card, he has to reveal it with Find the Truth, and in real life you just reveal it, like you flip the card over and show the other player. But obviously in Jinteki.net you have to read the chat log, so he's saying that reading the chat log is annoying, and the Adam runner was nice enough to just type in and tell him what his hand was. Okay, so we see a second draw. Oh, no, okay. The first draw there was a mandatory draw. Then we see that the second draw was a click draw by the corpse. So he's digging for something. What could he be digging for? He has all the money in the world. Well, all the money in the world for what he has on the board at this moment. Another daily quest. Now, this is what you normally see with daily quests. You normally see a single piece of ice and the server behind it. Asmari isn't feeling quite as threatened money-wise right now. Definitely not with a double daily quest. Adam can't really force a stop on these 2 things. So it looks like he's just gearing up. He's putting down Kadi. He's putting money on Kadi. He's just getting ready for the big run. And really right now, Adam is under no pressure whatsoever. He's on game point. Corp isn't on game point. He has all the time in the world to set up, play safe, make enough money so that when the Corp makes their move, he can just destroy it. It is really sad though that Asmari never drew a single scarcity. And they're almost like, no, they're more than halfway through their deck, which is honestly pretty rough draw wise. We see a mystery card installed in server 4, and then an ice on archives, which is weird. I guess that's maybe to stop the potential Find the Truth run on archives to see what's on the top of R&D. We see the 3rd logic bomb. It's not looking good for our Asmari friend. Rashida Fire is drawing an insane number of cards. They have all the money in the world again. I don't know what their out is though. Okay, they put another piece of ice on this server. Oh my gosh, another piece of ice, because they have to. They just don't have an option. They have to be able to stop the logic bomb. But I don't think it's going to be enough. Adam's doing what Adam should be doing. He's sitting back. He's putting money on Kadi. He has another Rizeki, not that he needs it. And the window for Asmari hard-hitting newsing Adam is just gone. It's not there anymore. The window for installing scarcity resources is gone. Asmari just lost, seemingly largely due to card draw. Yeah, there's the scarcity, but it just doesn't matter. What resources is Adam going to install? The corp still in a way has infinite money because of these 2 daily quests rather. These daily quests are netting Asmari six 6 credits a turn. In fact, if I was Adam, I would have already ran in here and trashed this one. Okay, I don't know. Adam goes ahead and career fairs a daily cast and just raw installs the Earthrise. I don't know if I agree with that. So essentially what happened here is Adam spent 3 cards and lost 4 credits already on these cards, because each of them cost an additional 2 credits to install. He careered Fade Daily Casts, but it's still just rough. Like, what does Adam need the draw for? Why install the Earthrise? The Daily Cast, fine. You had the career fair in hand. But why the Earthrise? What is he drawing for? He can't possibly have anything that he needs. Now he's doing a run on HQ, which is smart, because at this point, this is probably good game, because, I mean, the chances are that Asmari just has tons of agendas in hand, and Adam is going to access 2 cards. He's also going to look at the card on R&D. Okay, so he accesses hard. Oh my goodness. So, in a stroke of absolute luck, Asmari reveals hard-hitting news and hard-hitting news. That's what Adam hits. And whatever card was on top of R&D, Adam didn't want it. Because the truth of the matter is, if Adam wants to get an R&D, he's got it. Not just because of his breakers, but because his logic bombs will get him through if he really needs to win. Now, I don't agree with this. I mean, what is Asmari doing here? Asmari economical warfares and then hard-hitting newses, but why? He pays 12 to increase the boost strength to 16. Adam takes the tags, sure, but what does that accomplish? Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I think if I had to guess, I think the Asmari player wants the Adam to just lose money. I don't understand what he's saying here. For your information, it's worth 12, so if you boost to 13, it has the same effect as boosting to 16. I think that just has to do with the trace math. Anyway, Adam goes ahead and clears the tags because he has all the money in the world to do so. And this is what I mean about, I don't really think Asmari gained anything from that. Adam still has 25 credits after the clear. The hard-hitting news didn't do anything other than waste Asmari's time 1 turn. I mean, even Asmari could hard-hitting news him again, and it wouldn't slow Adam down enough. We see 2 naked installs. I mean, if I was Adam, I would just run those. There's no reason not to. Yeah. Because if they're necessary assets, you can just trash them. And if they're agendas, you win the game. Okay, so it's an echo chamber. Yeah, and Adam's not going to let that go through. Why would he? Yeah, if I was... Oh, this is probably a game because Adam looked at the top card of R&D and saw his chance to go in. If I was Asmari, I would install... pardon me. I would install the echo chambers into this super server and force Adam to run through it. And then if he doesn't run through it, you reveal the echo chamber and get a point. If he does run through it, well, then you forced him to spend resources and gotten res your ice. This is probably a game anyway, yeah. They're already calling it. Asmari said that all of their agendas were buried. It really seemed like Asmari was just not drawing well. Although it could be negativity bias on part of the court player. Although they did say they have 2 times Rashida's installed right now, which is sad and annoying. He was afraid to use it because he didn't want to flood agendas in HQ. Yeah, I mean, overall, it seemed kind of like the Asmari got off to a rough start. And Adam in general is kind of a snowball-y runner to begin with. So early on he's weak, and late game he's super powerful. So when you combine those two things, Asmari having a rough start and Adam being better in the late game, it was pretty rough for Asmari. I think the only thing they could have done is just kept putting random things in this server to force Adam to run through it, face down things in this server. But the problem is it doesn't look like Asmari even has any options for fast advance. And it seems like they're only running 3-2s. Or not 3-2s, 5-3s. So, well, there's the surveyor. Interesting. They had a surveyor here. They went ahead and rezzed everything just to show it. Has 16 strength surveyor. The problem is that Adam just logic bombs that. Is really what happens. Adam runs in here. He breaks the news hound. He breaks all of this. But yeah, this is actually the perfect reason why the player should have been jamming random things in server 2. Because if Adam runs this, each time he breaks Gold Farmer, he loses 4 credits. These 3 pieces of ice right there are already 12 credits. 12 credits was the amount of money that Adam lost shaking those tags. I'm sorry. It was 8 credits plus 4 clicks, so I count that in my head as 12 credits. But, like, forcing Adam to run here is already netting you the money he would have lost from that hard-hitting news, plus he's going to hit the 2 news hounds, he's going to hit slot machines, and then he's definitely going to logic bomb the surveyor. You can only logic bomb the surveyor 3 times, and then you've also gotten rid of a logic bomb. I think you probably put the Rashidas in this server to make it look like an agenda. You definitely put the echo chambers in this server. Because again, it's the hedged bet. Either he runs it and you don't get the point, but then he spent all the money to get through the server, or he doesn't run it and you get the free point, and then you are also on game point, assuming you only run 5-3s. The hard-hitting news just wasn't... There was no need to do that. And he did run NGO fronts, so yeah, he could have installed double advance and NGO front in here if he had one. I don't know if he was running out of cards. It doesn't look like he might have maybe had one more NGO front. But yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed some random Netrunner games. I certainly enjoy analyzing them. These days, I definitely enjoy playing Netrunner, but I think I enjoy watching it more than I enjoy playing it. Because actually playing it, to be honest, it's easy for me to sit here and be like, oh, they should have done that. Oh, you should have done that. When you're playing the game, it's completely different. There are 10,000 things to think about when you're playing Netrunner, and that's what makes it such a beautiful game, is because your choices in the game matter so very much. Unlike a lot of other card games where all of the skill really just comes down into deck building and then just sort of mindlessly piloting your deck, in Netrunner, every single choice you make matters. So it's almost impossible to play a perfect game. But anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and maybe we'll do this again sometime. See you then.